Welcome to ADHD Energy Strategy Live. This is a monthly community call for ADHD adults. In this space, we share real life through the lens of ADHD energy budgeting, what costs you, what credits you, and how to build margin. You're about to hear from one of the shares in the room during our last call.
So, and then shorter on the sides. So it's a fun mix.
You have such good hair. It's
Oh, thank you.
literally,
It doesn't feel as soft as I'm used to because of the bleaching. But you know, it's funny, I could kind of
yeah.
very quickly introduce my identity here. The last time I dyed my hair was in high school for Legally Blonde because I was a young blonde woman, but I was not blonde enough for that role. So, spoiler alert, I'm transgender. But I thought that was kind of funny that after all these years, the last time I dyed my hair was for a very famous feminine role. So.
That is so funny. And I actually recently put blonde in my hair also, and I'm thinking it's funny. I think I was blonde blind for a very long time, and then I started going darker, and as soon as I
Ah,
put this like lighter back in my hair, I was like, I don't know if I like this. I think I like my
oh.
darker hair better, which is crazy. I don't know that I
You're
ever thought I would
fabulous
be
at
that person.
both. But yeah, I was like a platinum blonde for a long time, and so it was like it was almost like a part of my identity was like blonde hair and blue eyes, and now it's like been so
Mm.
dark haired for a long time. It's strange.
And what does Ashley think about that?
She likes it. She although I don't know if she likes that I kept it kind of like
Oh my
down
God,
back.
I love it.
She's
You were
she
hiding the
likes the
party
back
in the
part.
back.
I know. I think it's kind of fun. But no, she's always dyeing her hair all different kind of colors and things, and so it was fun. We got to do it together. So.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, I am so excited that you're here. I love
Thank you.
you. I
I
was
love you.
I just it's so exciting to hang out tonight, especially in this space. And of course, you and I talk all the time. And I was like, I think it would be so cool to hear from you about this word practice because I feel like you're a writer. So, if
Yeah.
there's a person that I know that's going to have a good word,
Hmm.
or words that you're playing with, or what that looks like for you, or even just in the air of energy and what that's looking like in your life, I would
Yeah.
love to dive in and chat about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes.
The word that I pick is, I think, the word I have always picked and hopefully will not always pick, but it's rest. Although
Oh,
one thing I
yeah.
found a metaphor I really like though is that like when we revisit things, even if it's a painful memory, think about it more like the rings of a tree. Like it eventually, whatever the knot is, eventually like the line gets thinner and thinner, but you're experiencing with new eyes versus like how am I think the way I tend to think about any kind of shadow work I'm doing is like, how am I still stuck on this? How am I still working through this? But instead, I'm going to try not to be negative about it. So for me, it's rest. That is
Yeah.
my big struggle. I had this fantasy for the longest time of like, oh man, I want one of those big mansions in LA with like the view of the city, and I'm just going to kick back and relax in the pool. And what I realized about that reoccurring fantasy was like the biggest thing was that I had this sense that I had somehow made it and I could just rest. I could do nothing. I didn't have to be anywhere. I didn't have to do anything. It wasn't, that was the bigger part of the fantasy. Because, like, in reality, it'd be cool to live there, but also maybe not year round. That, a lot of that extra space, I don't know, that's hard to get to. But it's like the idea that my real fantasy was feeling like I'm enough, I've done enough, and I can rest feels so
Mm.
foreign to me that really is why that word kind of keeps coming back. And so in terms of my childhood, I grew up. I was a first daughter, right? I know I was listening to your other episode about that.
Yeah.
I was also a pastor's kid, and so I love Katie. Were using the word about being on. I always felt like I was performing. And you could be called on at any minute, picked up to kind of do your Von Trapp performance, and you had to represent the perfect family. Like I always felt like I had to perform, and I very quickly learned that like entertaining an adult was more important than any amount of my comfort. And as problematic as that sounds, like it was. And
Yeah.
it doesn't allow you to understand kind of taking care of your own needs first. It's something that still is that's very hard for me to do. And then when you grow up too in this culture, both in terms of like the Protestant productivity and also America at large, this hyper productivity hustle grind culture is just so ingrained in all of us. So I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this idea. I liked a video I saw this year where someone was like, maybe 2026 doesn't need to be your year that you wake up at 5 a.m. and start, doing
Yeah,
all this
I think
crazy
I
new
saw that
stuff. Yeah.
repost.
Yeah. And so it's like I'm finally learning to not really maybe make as many resolutions because what I've done is my cycle is more often go, 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 try to do everything, perfectionism, take it all on, high achieving, which I think also ties into this idea of like, if I never need any help and I can do it all by myself, then that's somehow successful. And I worked really hard and I got a really high paying job and all these things, grind, grind, grind. And but I tend to fall into burnout cycles too, which is really, really hard to get out of. And so energy management, when I learn about these things from you, Mo, I'm almost like, I haven't even thought to look at my own bar in that because I'm so used to kind of neglecting my needs to do more. And it's like, oh, I can do more, so I'm going to do more. Or I was planning to get all this done, so it's going to take as long as it takes, So I'm learning to not bypass. Like even my fiance had said like a month ago, the idea of like, oh, I'm out of spoons for the day, and I was like, what?
Yes.
What is this? What is this phrase? What
Yeah.
spoons? What are spoons? And I was like, and then it just reframed like, oh, we have a limited amount of energy. Like I've just been so used to being in kind of a numb state of bypassing. And then I get all my dopamine from checking things off the box and productivity. So in terms of that side of executive function, I could thrive in that zone of like, oh, I'm gonna make this phone call, respond to that email. I could go all day. What I can't do is sit still. And so it's really hard to feel safe and feel like I can just be is really hard. For the longest time, my thing was like I could only relax if I had a drink because then that literally stopped my brain from trying to be productive. And so working on my sobriety has been wonderful. I'm grateful for things that I've learned because I think each time I would have a relapse, I would be like, ooh, this is what I was neglecting. This is what I wasn't dealing with that I have to deal with. But it is really hard. It's hard for me to feel like I can just stop and just be without. I mean, my brain is just always kind of going on other things I should be doing. And so there's also just the mix of like, literally trying to tell my body like as I get out of survival mode, I've been extricating myself from a very toxic family system. So talk about, scaffolding falling away. That's been a big one for me. It's been
Yeah.
incredibly painful to know like I'm okay, I am safe. I'm loved, like to all of these kind of like things to ensure myself. I'm trying to literally like listen to my body for the first time as someone who's been very severed from my body for a lot of different reasons throughout my life, from trauma and from my upbringing and all these things to be like, Am I okay? Hey, are you okay? How are you feeling?" And so just I'm kind of reading the books that are like find out where it feels in your body, where is, and I do that. And I'm like, now what do I do? I found it. It's right here. What do I like
Yeah.
breathe through it. And I'm like, okay, but now what? Like what happens?
Oh,
And so I'm
yeah.
trying to slow down, trying to feel okay with that. I'll see videos that were like, if you're watching a video, you're not actually relaxing. And I'm like, oh no, like that was throw the phone away. So I'm trying to live a slower life. So I know I'm kind of saying a million things, but I also think it's probably very relatable for a lot of people. So trying to live a slower life. I'm trying to do things more like reading physical books. I have a much less stressful job now that I really enjoy to actually feel like, oh my gosh, I'm allowed to just have a non-stressful time and I'm doing enough and I'm going to try to get sleep and take care of my body. So there's a lot of wonderfulness in that and
Yeah.
being in a much more wonderful place in my life. But also there are still some insane stressors in the world right now. So it feels a little bit strange to be like, I am safe, like it's all good, and also be like, my cousin was 2 miles away from the shooting last week, and so it's just
Yeah.
those that juxtaposition is really hard too. To not want to panic, and we can't always stay in that panic mode, right? And of course, if we scroll
Yeah.
through our feed, we can have that kind of crazy stress response. But to also be like, all right, like you've done really good. You did a lot. Like you did like 4 spoons worth of things today. Like
Yeah.
let's
This
just,
is
you
enough.
know, and so yeah, that's my thing. It's like slow
Oh.
and steady is better because it's otherwise the if I neglect myself long enough, that's when I tend to relapse and it's really hard to recover from.
Mhm.
So I'm trying so hard to like slow and steady wins the race, take better care of myself, be more self-compassionate. But it is hard. I think the idea of like sitting still and being present with my body are all these great things that I'm learning, but also at a time when it feels a little bit insane to be like, I am safe, I am safe. I need to tell myself
Yeah.
that, but also like, I can't get a passport. If I'm not safe and I have to leave this country, that's a lot scarier for me. I've gained a lot of
Yeah.
privilege in my transition just based on how I look, and I've also lost a lot of privilege. And so there are these big scary things that exist
Yeah.
right now. And I also kind of feel like in denumbing myself, I have this image in my mind that I've removed this big cement block from a garden. And so like things can actually grow now, but it's this wet ground that's fertile, but like things are popping up and coming out that I've been ignoring for so long. And so it's like
Yeah.
I feel like the hermit crab that hasn't found its new shell yet. Like I feel so sensitive
Yes,
and it's
yes, I get
scary
that.
because I feel like everything now, because I'm not ignoring my feelings anymore, like everything could bring up a traumatizing memory or like
Honestly.
trigger me in some way. And I hate that because I was raised like with my older brothers to like feelings are a bad thing. Like you can't have those, you know? And so I'm doing all this great work and I'm so proud of it. And I'm so grateful for the life that I've built because I never gave up on a truer, realer life. And but I'm also exhausted and I don't quite know how to rest and because one other thing I sorry I'm going over my time at
No,
that
we love it. No,
but
I love it. You
as an
keep going.
example of this, like I also was laid off after the pandemic from that big high paying job that I had for a while. And for 2 years, I didn't work at all. And that sounds like a dream. I had this big severance. I didn't go on vacation one time. I literally had my days scheduled out to the half hour because my brain just then fixated on the next thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to lose all this weight. I've been working in tech. So now I'm going to chase my dreams. I need to get a Hollywood job because that's the only way I'll have made it. I need to like, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to accomplish all these. I need to write 1,000 pages a day, whatever. Like I didn't rest at all. And I was in a safe place. I had plenty of resources and I still didn't allow myself to rest. So it's a mental and emotional thing that you have to kind of arrive at no matter where you are. And so that's what I'm kind of trying to learn. And it's been very hard to learn with the upbringings and things like that. So that has been my word for a long time, and I think it's going to continue to be my word. But it's good. It's a way that I can finally start to be like to my own self, like, hey, how you doing? You okay? Do we need to do a little bit less? Do we need to go sit down? Maybe get a drink of water? So it's a beautiful thing. I think it's probably pretty relatable, but that's my word is rest.
It's so insanely relatable. Like I also just want to say, first of all, oh my gosh, do you guys see why I love Mark so much? I appreciate so much the way that you reflect and also when I think about rest, something that I wrote down that I really love is the idea that we are biological beings, you know, we are not a
Mm,
computer, but even a
not
computer has to be
doing,
plugged in sometimes, you know,
yeah,
and so when I think about specifically, this is why I love energy budgeting because something you shared. So here's how I differ from spoons. I've never shared this with you. I'm so excited to talk about it. Here's where I differ from spoons. We, a lot of the times, whenever we think about energy, we think, well, it does run out at the end of the day. I like to think about energy that it is renewable as well.
yeah,
What are some things that we can do to renew our energy? So, like, we know that there are times in life that are going to require more demand of us. And so we can't create totally perfect conditions, but we can know what it takes to honor ourselves from moment to
mm,
moment throughout each day because it is going to change and it is going to be different. And there are going to be things that we can't expect, but if we get really super good at knowing what I see what's costing me. I
yeah,
see what's a credit to me. You know, like
hmm
you're exploring rest. Rest is such a beautiful way, among others, of giving yourself the ability to have energy to show up for what it is that you really want to do, which
yeah,
I have the privilege of knowing you and your life and some of the things that you want to do and things that I'm excited to see you do. Um, but then there's also the piece of and like you said, where it's not all about productivity, it's like energy
yeah,
to enjoy life and to feel actually alive. Like how
yeah.
often are
Be
we
present.
so exhausted that it's like we have a spare day and all we want to do is rest. And you know, you think about that's a person who's in overdraft or like you said, in burnout
Hmm
and that can take time to get into a place where you feel the recovery that you need, you know, to be able to show up in ways that you want to. So I just really love that. And something else that you talked about with like there's this vision of what success looks like that often it's so cool when you start asking yourself, why do I think that?
hmm
Like where did I even get the idea? You know, that
Yeah.
that's what is success. You know, it's cool to start asking those questions of yourself, which is it makes me feel like is why I think you are clearly giving yourself rest is that things are having the space and the safety to show up,
Absolutely.
even though it can be intense. So, like,
Yeah. And there's
go
a quote
you.
that, thank you so much. There's a quote I love so much that's like, the more you heal, the less ambitious you are. And I think that's
Oh,
like so
yeah.
beautiful. So it's like for me, I wanted some big Hollywood career. Now I just would love a life that's balanced and I get to write. Like that's what I found was my real passion is just writing. And I
Yeah.
don't need it. I got my computer. If I even had a scrap of paper, I could do it, you know? But for a while I had a lot of blocks. So ultimately for me, my hope is to clear this kind of energy source so that I can create more because that's what I
Mm.
so want to do. Um, but yeah, what are those things that actually recharge me? I'm not used to even thinking in terms of anything for me. I can be very generous, but it's hard to do. I think people, the kind of people pleaser side of it, will do it for everyone else, but for ourselves, it's kind of and even how women are raised too. It's like the women are always the ones that never sit down while the men go watch TV. Like they're the ones that are still in the kitchen, you know, back and forth to make sure everyone has everything they need. And that's certainly the image that I was raised with, and my own mom, never sitting down, you know. And so
Yeah.
it's hard to, and so I was kind of laughing thinking about when I first stopped working. I was like, okay, I'm gonna self-care so good. I'm gonna do all the appointments. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like drink this much water a day. I'm gonna go to the gym this many times, and I just like made it unfun in a way, even though I'm
You exhausted
technically
yourself
doing all.
trying.
I was exhausted because I was kind
Yeah.
of gamifying the process of what should be self-care. And so for me, self-care is probably more just like putting on a comfort movie instead of a documentary, you know, letting my brain feel a little bit more relaxed than necessarily like hitting all these. But it's different for everybody. And so that's the thing is how do we find out what actually recharges us and sit with that? And yeah, I do think I've just kind of safe for the first time, which is amazing. But it's now I feel like there's this inner child that's like, hey, now that you're here, can we talk about some stuff? And that's a little scary too. So it's trying to
Mm.
be but to ultimately want to be present because I feel like for my escape can often be seeing the forest all the time and planning in the future versus like I'm a human being that's right here and I want to actually be present and so yeah, that's kind of the goal
Mm.
then.
Well, and what's cool, and then I will just touch base with everyone in the room and see who's up. What's really cool is that you're giving yourself the space to realize what kind of energy that you're in, you know,
Hmm.
and understanding these automatic tendencies that we have that can kind of take over sometimes. So, like,
Yeah.
funny how you self-care optimize. Oh, you know, it'd be great. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to listen to a podcast that teaches me something
Oh yeah.
only. I can't
Boom,
listen to
boom, boom.
music.
Yeah.
You know, or like, you know, these funny ways that we actually just end
Hmm.
up doing too much again.
Yeah,
It's
because
like,
it's like
come on.
I would get so much dopamine from like cleaning my entire apartment and listening to an entire book in a day. Like in a way that sounds
Yeah,
like my dream. But I also know that my brain needs other things. But I kind of like
disengagement
that's where
time.
I'm less comfortable. That's where I'm less used to it. I'm less like sitting with my feelings. Like that's that kind of sitting with that discomfort is a lot harder for me. I'd
Mm.
much rather be like let's just go do all my taxes. You know, like I would rather do that because it's a concrete thing, you know. So I'm kind of yeah. Different
Yeah,
in that way
I'm
than some.
so excited to see how this unfolds for you
Thank
and
you.
throughout this year. So I hope that you'll come back and share with
Sure.
us.
Energy, strategy, and my own design. Shaking off the scripts they wrote in my mind. ADHD rhythm in my stride. Energy budget holding me aligned.